Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today, I came across a meme that I wanted to talk about, and it says very clearly, a man who walks with purpose doesn't need the crowd to cheer. He already knows where he's going. Now, I don't know too many men that actually know where they're going. I know a lot of men that have the ability to appear to know where they're going or what they're doing. But we live in a world where life comes at you so fast, where we think that we're supposed to have this and do this and be this. We think that we're supposed to have all the money, have the fancy cars, have the fancy house. We think that these are the things that are going to make us happy. And the truth is, nothing's going to make you happy. Nothing other than you. And how you choose to accept and embrace yourself as you navigate this realm, this experience, this thing that we're doing called life. Nobody knows what they're fucking doing. And that is a fact. Everyone's trying their best to do the thing that they think that they're supposed to do. To live up to the role that they think that they're supposed to live up to. But every single definition that you and I have inside our heads was put there by influence, social media, mystical, pimp my ride, pimp mon char, for those of you in Quebec. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I guess I should say for those of you in France as well, but you wouldn't have said, I mean, the French, the Quebec French and the French is different. La France French. Le. Pepsi, Robert Boot. That was Quebec French. I don't know how we got lost. I don't know how this came to be as a whole. And I think the more that you put that effort in, or the effort into that thought process, the more you can come up with a general idea as to how we got here. And third dimensional thought processes say, we live in North America. To those that live in North America, we are a global podcast, so I don't want to leave anybody out. But we live in a civilization that is dictated by government. In other words, we're slaves. We're slaves to the government, especially in Canada, paying anywhere from 20 to 52% in tax. The money's not yours. It's never been yours. And taxation isn't about taking the money for them to use on things, because money's not real. Taxation is about you not having it, so you are a slave to working more. If you had total autonomy and total freedom, there's a lot of things that you would do differently. The follow the money is a scam. Those that invented the money also invented the saying follow the money, because if you're following the money, you're not paying attention to what's really going on. This world is all about purpose, energy, transference. This world is all about manifesting and creating. And your life right now is an exact reflection of that which you have manifested, that which you have created. And if you want more, you can do more, be more, say more, think more, have more. Because everything you have right now is a direct result of all the effort that you've put in. So when we talk about this meme grabbed me because it just, it was just such a piece. And I think more and more about where we're going. I think more and more about all of this stuff because I don't want to believe in the good and evil. I understand duality, but the idea of good and evil is duality. The idea that everything is physical doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that none of it makes sense. And it's really hard for me to sort of explain that because my brain isn't living in a world. It's like, how do you explain something? How do you define something without using the word in the definition? Define the word water. Well, it's water. Thank you. I'll take my first place prize now. And sometimes I even make myself laugh. The most important thing that you can find, in my opinion, in this world is purpose. You can have no money and work towards something. You can have no shoes and work towards something. You can have no car and work towards something. But if you have no purpose, what are we even doing here? And that's massive. Because with purpose comes clarity. With clarity comes more moves. With more moves comes more understanding and comprehension and drive and determination and power. And if you want something, you just have to figure out how it's done. Because if you want something in this realm, the only reason you want it is because you've seen it already. And that could be consciously, that could be subconsciously, that could be anything at all. I've had this conversation before where I think it's hilarious rewatching episodes of Seinfeld for me. I'm a massive New York Mets fan. So was he. I am a massive fan of peacoats. So was he. For a long time, I really liked the Sob. I wonder what Seinfeld drove. And this was third dimensional me being influenced by what I thought was one of the funniest shows on TV at the time, and truthfully, it was. Heavens to Murgatroyd. We're not allowed to like shows back then. Geez, poor Bill Cosby. What happened now? I remember watching a clip, and Raven was saying how you have to be able to separate the man from the art. I understand that because there are so many people involved in that show, and it's not even really available streaming anywhere. And then we heard this story of Bill Cosby doing all these things, and honestly, it was never even massively proven. Some people came forward, but like if it was actually tangibly legit, what was this all about? Why did it take so long? Why did everything take so long to come out? And now I'm not trying to open up a can of worms there because there's a ton of stuff that people can say, do, and get mad at me for because, I believe all women. But I look at this as another algorithmic approach, and the algorithm is something that it's something that really puts to shame this reality as a truth. The algorithm is becoming more aggressive. I don't know if you people have seen this, but it's definitely a topic for me. The algorithm is getting out of control. Mr. Anderson. I've heard people say things like the plastics in the sky and the nanobots. And this is kind of getting away from purpose. But, you guys have been, this is episode 358. Y'all have been around with me. We talk about things in circles. Oh man, I'm having a good day. So people are talking about the particles, the algorithmic particles. Fucking chemtrails are spraying algorithm on us. But it's true. Because we live in this spot right now where the algo can literally read your mind. And that's what they're talking about 5Gs. This is what the big thing about lead paint too. They're like, there was lead in the gasoline or whatever, and it was in the ionosphere, atmosphere, and everybody was upset that, and then, in the 70s, they went into unleaded paint. My entire life, I saw unleaded gasoline. Like, I never in my life saw leaded gasoline, but for years, they made us believe that unleaded was a thing. And I say I also don't believe that there's a huge power struggle. There's no powers that be. There's nothing. We live in a perspective vacuum. You don't like politics? Turn off the TV. You don't like the ramifications? Don't follow them. You don't like taxes? Fuck paying taxes. If we all just said, go to hell, things would change. But we don't say that. Because not many of us have purpose. And most of us are living in fear. Fear created by the very government that was supposed to help us get through all of the problems. You see how I'm hopping from government and fear-based to algorithm? This is how my brain works on a regular basis, ladies and gentlemen. This is two very distinct thought processes intertwining like the colors of a beautiful festive candy cane. I almost said popsicle there. I bet you they do have festive popsicles, however. Algorithmically, I've heard people talk about nanoparticles and chemtrails. And then, of course, we have not even that, but the aluminium in the chemtrails. Why was aluminum in our deodorant as well? Why do you have to advertise that this deodorant is aluminum free? Why do I need aluminum in my armpits? Where is one of the very most sensitive and absorbent areas? Oh, it just so happens to be an armpit. So what happens if we merge aluminum with certain things? Well, now we can go on to answer that, or we can say, hey, shit, that's doom and gloom if we do want to talk about that. Doom and gloom. That's not for me. I don't have any interest in doom and gloom. I'm fascinated with the story. And because everything has been casually doom and gloom for so long, we don't know how to decipher the difference. We don't know who we are without the doom and gloom. If you're making $120,000 a year and one of your friends is making $300,000 a year, you're going to feel inadequate. But that friend of yours is making $300,000 a year so that you can see that it can be done. And if you really want it, because some people value money over time, if you really want that money, well, you can give up something else to get it. If you really want your time, you can give up something else to get it. If you really want money and time, well, there's a lot of people out there that are making a ton of money that aren't doing anything at all. There's a ton of ways to figure out what you want to do, which brings us back to purpose. A man without purpose is a shell of a man. And I know, I just broke out of a massive depression, one that could have quite potentially ruined my life. You could look at it that way, or you could understand that it's helping you. That by being in the funk that you're in and potentially ruining the relationships that you were in and distancing yourself from the people that you were around, if you weren't going to do it yourself, well, the algorithm just did it for you. We don't have to stress. We don't have to wonder what's happening to us, for us, around us, because it's happening. And there's a whole, it is what it is. I mean, you can break life down into a million different things. I was having a conversation with my friend Adri about this earlier today. You can break down anything. And she was saying, the meme was this lady talking about how this statement is oversimplifying everything. It's not taking into account the astrology and the this and the that and the past lives and the regression and the person, what the person had for breakfast. Life truly does boil down to, it is what it is. That's life. It is what it is. And anything on top of that is your own brand of discounted chocolate-flavored Pop-Tarts that you purchased too many of one time and never bought again. That'll make sense to some people. Well, one person. Life will come at you and do the things it needs to do. You will react, or you will put your Pop-Tart on top of it, making it yours, making it your story. Multiple truths can take place. This is Communication Breakdown 101. Multiple truths 100% unequivocally take place based on perception. And our upbringing is indicative of how we handle whatever we're put in front of. And our upbringing is our programming. But before we got here, there was more programming. We were pre-programmed to get here and to do the things and to learn the lessons and to have the fun and to ride the jet skis and to do all the drugs and then to get sober and then to find yourself and then to do all these other things. Every single thing exists as a distraction and as a purpose and as a path and as a plan. You do something to death, and you're going to get depressed. You do something to death and you don't want to do it anymore. And that also means if you do mediocrity to death, you're going to be disappointed, depressed. You're not going to want to do it anymore. But if you've been pre-programmed, and if you've been showered with nanotechnology and aluminiums, and if you're rubbing it all over your armpits, your brain can't handle all that funky heavy metal. Moreover, your gut can't handle it. And all of your major decisions come from your gut brain, your gut biome. That's a whole other topic. This topic was about path, purpose, and passion. If you have a purpose in life, it becomes easier. If you have passion, you're lucky. Passion and purpose are paramount. So is my pop filter, so that your ears don't blow up. Dear God, I'm on one today. Ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to be said about the idea to build wealth and generational wealth and all this sort of stuff. There's so much to be said about diving into esoteric thought processes. There's so much to be said about absolutely everything that you could possibly say, think, or do. But I'll tell you this, every single thing that you say, think, or do, if you do it to death, can be played out. If you don't add something new, some sort of something to figure this out, some new information, new proxies, new muses, if you don't add new, if you don't grow, and if you don't continue to expand. And this is where the wonderful thing about the universe. We got this third dimensional universe, which is forever expanding. That's the story. We live in infinite nothingness, and it's getting bigger. Also, esoterically, fifth dimensionally, we are forever expanding. You and I are getting older. We're getting bigger. We're getting smaller. Our children are growing up. They're continuing on. Life is moving forward. Life is expanding. We are moving forward constantly. So both third dimensionally and fifth dimensionally, we have expansion. What we don't have is grounding. What we don't have is a firm grasp of where we are, of what we're supposed to be doing, or of anything. What we do have is an idea inside our head, planted by media, by social media, by parents, by influence, by friends, by everything. And we think, by comparison, we're supposed to be somewhere else. Therefore, we kick our own ass, and then we fall into a fucking bigger and deeper depression. But the truth of the matter is, every single thing you choose to perceive is your own special brand of chocolate Pop-Tart reality. And there is absolutely no reason that you don't or cannot create the universe that you want. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it could take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get over something. But you will always inevitably get over it. If you think about every single problem you've ever had in your past, every single one of them, from 5 years ago and beyond. And these things that were going to ruin us and change our lives and affect us forever, they're just gone. So whatever it is you're going through right now, it's the same thing. And if you can't shake it off yourself, just remember while you're going through it, what is your purpose? What is your passion? What is it that you truly want to do? If you can answer those questions, or if you can find a way to get those answers and then start actuating on them, at that moment in time, your entire life changes. So algorithmically, I want to do an entire podcast on that, which I probably will pretty soon. Energetically, this was a good one. Remember to follow your passion. Remember to create a purpose. Remember to be more for yourself today than you were yesterday. As well, you must always remember, in the infamous words of Red Green, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.